Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Stand Your Ground Studio. This is Scott. Today I have a Delta Airlines commercial I'd like to break down. And what the commercial is about on the surface is it's them saying that we'll work with you to get you to your location so that you can deliver your impact to the world. When I look at this commercial, I see a very thinly veiled message from the other side of the veil about somebody wanting to connect with us on this side. Alright, so we're going to get some symbolism here regarding portals and smashing open time like I've posted in other videos, and that swirl on the screen has a lot to do with that. We're also going to get a message about we're about to go through a great big plunge, sending society in one direction, ultimately leading us to this message.
With a mighty roar that tells the world, we're coming for you.
Which is pretty creepy, right? And I think what's really happening is they're sending us a message here to see who's really paying attention. All right. So first things first, the very centerpiece of this entire commercial is that spiral on the screen. It's on a jet engine, and that jet engine starts spinning up to full speed all throughout the entire commercial, which is a little under a minute long. And it's all about starting up a giant engine that's going to start a process that's going to take us somewhere to a giant roar of an event. So I want to talk about that spiral because it's actually a very sacred symbol, one of the oldest ones out there, and has a ton of meaning to it. But right before I do that, does it have a practical meaning, or is it actually on these engines? And the answer is yes. There's two main reasons. One, the ground crew can tell if the engine is running or not. So if you're not sure if you're in the right position, you look at an engine, you can better tell if it's moving or not. And apparently it helps keep birds away so that when this thing's spinning at however many rotations per second, it just turns into a black blur. So with the spiral, they can get a glance and fly away from the engine. So obviously there's a practical reason for this. But moving on to the spiritual side, the spiral, and this is apparently, according to a bunch of websites I went to, it's the oldest symbol known to be used in spiritual practices. And according to here, it reflects universal pattern of growth and evolution. Another form of that is self-ascension, and represents the goddess, the womb, fertility, and life force energy. You're going to hear some of those phrases again in a few minutes. So moving over here, here's another website, mysteryoftheiniquity.com, and I just found this today for this video, and you'll see how the spiral is just used all throughout history, both in in architecture and art, and in spirituality and religion. And here, very first thing I have is the Tower of Babel, and it's again the symbol of man's attempt to reach God under his own power, and it's represented here as a spiral to reach heaven under our own power. So there's another representation of it. Here's Dante's Inferno. This is actually the mirror image of the Tower of Babel. So it's a spiraling downwards to the depths. And as you can see, we have an as above, so below symbolism going on right here. It can also be used in labyrinths, or often is used in labyrinths. And a labyrinth is something that needs to be solved. A lot of time and effort needs to be put into it. It's almost like cracking the code because it's guarding something very precious and very sacred at the center of it. We have the Minotaur. And I wanted to stop here real quick because these symbols come up again and again and again in all religions, and something that was pointed out by this author here so many years ago. In the Illusion Mysteries, which was the celebration of the goddess Persephone, were intended to elevate man above the human sphere into the divine and assure his redemption by making him a god, so conferring immortality upon him. Their cults are the mysteries of Isis, Osiris, and Egypt, and so on, and more others, and it looks exactly like what's going on in New Age. I'm just pointing out that there's nothing new under the sun, and this spiral just keeps kind of showing up all over the place, and it's at the center of what's going on in the world right now. More examples, it's in nature, in church, architecture. We have a bishop's crook, so a lot of occult symbolism showing up in the church. Keep going, keep going. This one caught my eye, the great serpent king of the underworld. This Naga, or serpent god, embodies the power of earth and water. Snakes, like labyrinths, wind around a treasure at the center of their coils, thereby protecting it. And there's going to be a lot of, the shining light that's too bright, or the Luciferian aspect of this, who's guarding the great big treasure that's at the center of this mystery that's going on. And of course, it always leads to CERN. The spiral, most importantly, is a portal. If you're still watching this video and you haven't switched it off, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's jump into the commercial real quick. So this engine, I'll just play a few seconds, starts playing, and it starts getting louder and louder. We're activating something. We start cross-cutting between all these scenes we're going to see, and I don't want to play too much of it. just in case somebody yells at me about it. So we see this guy getting ready to meet someone. She's getting ready to jump right off or ski off of a very steep cliff. This one's slightly confusing at first, but this guy's picking up dirt or sand. There's a bright light. We've got a rocket in the background. So I think that's Earth. This is a terrain. We're getting ready to take off to new heights. Moving on to this scene, this woman has a message, and she's getting ready to deliver a message to the masses or a big crowd, and this is symbolic of a message that's being delivered to us here. The masses are out there. They can't see her, but when she peeks through the veil, she can see them. You can see her eyeball. So she's getting ready. This is the other side getting ready to deliver a message to us. They can see us. We can't see them. Okay, so after this, we hear literally the first words in the entire commercial, and it's just, once you get out here, that's all there is. And that makes me think of a great big giant void. Yeah, she walks out on the stage, getting ready to deliver this message. She's getting ready to walk up to the podium. So this is right when the narrator says, quote, "There's just one direction, forward." This relates to my conclusion from my 9/11 video I posted a few days ago, where everything that's going on right now is going to be collapsing the system. There's going to be a great big plunge that happens. And when that happens, we're all going to lose our personal sovereignty. And for all of society, there's going to be one direction. They have to accept it's going forward into what is given to us. So that's the message that's being delivered here. Some people might say she's an Antichrist figure delivering that message. I do see a pillar and another pillar with lights in between it. So that can be the twin towers or the twin pillars symbolism. The light in between is the light of God or the light of Lucifer. And this is his message to us. That's the way I'm seeing it. And that seems like an aggressive interpretation, but just wait till I see what's coming. More of the spiral. The engine's picking up. You just saw it a second ago. More and more and more. And it's kind of blasting everybody's ties and jackets and hair, but they still haven't even noticed yet. They're still walking through their life. It did take me a few run-throughs of this commercial to really start to pull this together. So there's the camera lens looking through us, the Oculus, again, more CERN, more portal symbolism. They love the camera. She puts on her goggles. She takes the great big plunge. The engine spins up faster and faster. Now here's the shark symbolism, comes busting out of the water. Just looking it up real quick, the shark, just generally speaking, animal or spirit animal type symbolism is a sign of aggression and hostility, but it's also the fluidity of motion. They're getting ready to unleash this on us, the hostility that's coming our way. But it's also used in occult symbolism. We've seen it in like the Katy Perry performance at Super Bowl 49. We've seen it a number of other places. I like Round Saturn Eye's channel. He talks about this a lot. It's like the belly of the beast or the womb, like I mentioned earlier. And I'll move on from there. So yeah, people looking at their respective scenarios, staring on. Engine picks up, rocket takes off. We're going to new heights. And what I want to do, this is why I made this whole video. Listen to this.
And there's just one sound. You and us together with a mighty roar that tells the world we're coming for you.
And there you have it. So with a great big mighty roar, with a great big event, we're coming for you. Then we have Delta, keep climbing. So it's a reference to Jacob's ladder, us ascending forward. I actually kind of skipped earlier. But here we go, self-ascension, mention of Jacob's ladder, and cracking of the code, the DNA. And here we have delta, we have the pyramid pointing up, and delta in mathematics is a sign of change. Okay, and glad I started looking this up because we saw the Tower of Babel earlier and spiraling, so I was wondering why did they pick this scene right here, and there's a tower over there. And at first I was thinking, oh, it's a spiraling tower, but I actually think it's the Eiffel Tower when you look at it closely. So it's Paris, the city of love, or whatever it's called. So we've seen that symbol over and over again. And this is from a horror movie, so yeah, it's a little bit intense, but it is a part of the occult. It's like a giant antenna. We've seen it all throughout their symbolism. Just pointing that out. So there it is. That's the whole thing. Tell me what you think. I know that I missed a few things, but keep a sharp eye. They are telling us every day what's coming, and we need to be careful because when we get there, there's going to be a great big plunge, and there's only going to be one direction left open to us. So either you have a foundation on stone and you withstand it, or you have a foundation built on sand and you don't. you know anybody who needs to hear this, please pass it on. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, like, dislike, comment, whatever you got to do. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll talk to you next time.